I actually wanted to focus on Arsenal's transfers this window, because it's been so different this window, the way that they approached it. In fact, every single window has been different, almost quite methodical from Mikel Arteta, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly this one. I know Richard Garlick is at the club, he's in charge of the finances. He was trying to make it happen. I think they thought that midfield was an issue. Thomas Partey was loss of form, 1 or 2 injuries from him, so Declan Rice was always a major target. And I think psychologically, if that hadn't gone through, that would have been disastrous, so that was really important. But over the years, he's been buying players, meticulously. Ben White, we see this in this one. Ramsdale, there, Ødegaard, really important acquisitions. 1 or 2 there, Lokonga and Tavares not gone especially well. So there's 1 or 2 in there that don't always work out. Jorginho as a player as well, I thought was a really good coming at a good moment, you see in this particular window. Jesus and Zinchenko, incredible influence they've had on the dressing room. So one by one, he's putting these pieces together, and now it's called Havertz and Timber and Raya from Brentford. So that's an interesting one.
To be confirmed.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because normally you wouldn't put your goalkeeper really under that kind of pressure. I think in our day it was David Seaman, if you think back to David Seaman playing, and Alex Meninga coming in playing, 10 fantastic games and still going out of the team. So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, and whether Ramsdale keeps his place, because as he's shown with his selection today, he's quite ruthless with the selection, with Gabriel sitting on the bench.
I think David Raya and possibly even Kai Havertz were the ones that sort of raised Arsenal fans' eyebrows, in the sense, is there a need for David Raya?
Well, we'll have to see, won't we? What it is here that the manager really wants. I think Arsenal are at a stage where they're still developing, still reaching out to be champions, still trying to win something. The manager's maybe not completely certain yet about every single player. One thing he's sure of, that he didn't think Turner was quite at the level, and he wants competition for Ramsdale. So that's been addressed. We assume that he's going to be coming in, and that's going to be a real battle. And you want those battles all over the pitch. You just don't want the player to get too anxious, too nervous. But if you can't live in that environment, then you don't deserve to be there.
Sure. I think if you're a top club, then you need 2 top players in every position, and that includes the goalkeeper.
But the goalkeeper position almost never has 2 #1 elites. It's almost quite hard to juggle 2 #1 elite goalkeepers.
Well, yes, of course, it is quite difficult to keep 2 people happy who both feel they should be your #1 goalkeeper.
In comparison to outfield players.
Well, possibly, because a right back can play as a central defender, or maybe a right midfield player. So you've got other options. But if you're a keeper, you've got 1 position, haven't you? But Arsenal are competing in the Champions League this season for the first time in far too many years from that club's perspective. And can you imagine if Ramsdale gets injured before a Champions League game, and they've got to bring in a goalkeeper who's not deemed to be a top goalkeeper? And guess what? You end up going out of the Champions League because of that 1 position. I don't think you can take that chance. And Arsenal, I truly believe, they feel that they are capable of going on from what they achieved last year, and going a long way in Champions League.
I think it's right that they bring another goalkeeper in, because for the last number of years we've had midweeks with the Champions League. It's not been Champions League, it's been Europa League, which is a step down in class. Not to be unkind to the rest of Europe, but it is in its early stages. Those 6 group stages games are not that difficult, and they've brought changes in. Some of the players of Martinelli's and Saka's have actually started their Arsenal careers in
They didn't play in Europe last year, did they?
Yes, they did play in Europe last year.
Apologies, yes.
Okay. But they did have a few seasons that were when they were out the year before. So, no, it's been a difficult number of years from an Arsenal point of view, falling below those standards. They've lost a lot of players from the squad, so this has been a slow process of building back the numbers you need. Now Champions League football's coming round very quickly. Now we'll be playing it in September. They need that competition. So, big day for Ramsdale today.
Is it not destabilising to a level? Because Piers Schmeichel came out to say the goalkeeper position is one where you want the keeper to be comfortable.
I get that. But I feel that Schmeichel is talking about a Manchester United situation when he was quite stable and they were winning things regularly, and it wasn't really call for change. Arsenal is in a different process of this development. They're just trying to become champions. And really, maybe it is that Arteta's not sure about Ramsdale, but that's healthy as well, because he wants competition. It can't be that Ramsdale makes a glaring mistake and there's no real replacement, there's no jeopardy. You do need to have that. And if you can't live with that, in that kind of environment, you don't really deserve to be at the club. So this is the new Arsenal now. And let's see if Ramsdale, if he's got what I think he's got, which is that character and personality, he'll deal with it and he'll play well.
And I do believe that the mentality of players is different today than it was 10, 15 years ago. Certainly in my era, definitely. And that is that players are reasonably content to be part of a big, successful squad. You know, would you really want to leave a Manchester City, for example? Would you really want to, you know, leave a club that's been that successful? And I know players have, of course.
What he's trying to do is get a competition for places all over the pitch. And if you look at Man City, with envy they look at Man City, and they look last season to Foden getting a hat-trick one week, and then Mahrez the next, and each alternative week they're sitting on the bench. Now that's tough to take, but that's part of the environment that you need to create of winners. And Arsenal are some way off that. So they need to keep buying players, keep bringing people in to make the group stronger.